Yeah, so nice that you are here. The stars of Doctor Who, season 9 is coming, Jenna Coleman and Peter Capaldi. Did you ever dreamed about being part of Doctor Who?
I did, I guess, because I've been a fan of it since I was 5 years old. So I always loved the show. I never thought I would be Doctor Who. I was lucky enough to have a part in it some years ago when David Tennant was Doctor Who, which was great fun, and I thought that would be my only contribution to it, my only involvement with it. So it was a great surprise when they asked me to actually be Doctor Who, because I've always loved the programme, but I wasn't spending my entire life in misery because I wasn't Doctor Who. It was just a wonderful surprise when it did happen.
And how much has the show changed your life?
It's changed my life enormously. I mean, mainly due to the nature of the storytelling and the scripts and the stuff that we do on set on a day-to-day basis is very different to any other job that I've ever done before. And outside of work, the amount of travel that we get to do to promote the show and go to so many countries and meet so many fans. We've just come back from San Diego Comic-Con, stopped by LA, now we're here before we go back on set to film. So probably in many more ways than I can digest right now, I think.
I think you answered that question very well.
Thank you very much, Peter Capaldi.
Okay. And what was your favorite moment at the set until now? Your favorite scene? Your favorite day?
I have to say, every day's my favorite. I love the fact that I get to wake up in the morning and be Doctor Who and get to go into the studio and work with Jenna. There have been lots of scenes that I thought were particularly special. I loved, we did an episode called Listen, in which Jenna and I had our first fight. I don't mean Jenna and I mean Clara and the Doctor had their first big argument. That was fun to do. I love when the Daleks attacked a spaceship and into the Dalek. We got to see all the Daleks being blown up, and on days like that, the set just becomes full of overgrown little boys and girls who just like to see explosions. So there's been a lot of fun scenes, I think. Jenna?
I still have a favourite scene with the image of the spiral staircase in the Snowman episode going up to the clouds, and the TARDIS was sat amongst the clouds and the stars, and that image for me always remains quite poetic and fairy tale. It's quite potent in my mind.
And if you could step in a real TARDIS, maybe it would exist, so where would you go and why?
I would go to see Cleopatra and turn her into my BFF. Or is it BBF? No, it's BFF. Best friends forever. Yep. And I would go to New York in the 20s. We were saying we'd go to Rio and watch Frank Sinatra play at Hotel Copacabana. And I would also go to the beginning of time itself.
I think if you had a TARDIS, you could go to, well, like Frank Sinatra, you could go to lots of great concerts. You could go and see the Beatles playing at the Reeperbahn and see what they were like, and go and see Elvis when he first appeared, and then go and see Elvis in Vegas.
You make it into like the biggest, most epic night.
Yeah, it would be. It would be a fun night. I think I'd like to go and see early man dealing with the Neanderthals. I'd like to solve the mystery of quite what drove the Neanderthals out of existence, whether or not it was human beings or whether there was some other force. Ancient Rome, I'd quite like to see ancient Rome, although I think that would be quite scary to be there. Ancient Rome, what else? Renaissance Italy, I think would be fun. Where would you go?
I would go, I think, in the future.
Oh, in the future.
I just want to see how the Earth will change maybe in 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years, 3,000 years. I got some calendar in my iPhone.
Yeah.
And I just switch it on and on just to see when it will end. And it never ends. So I got my birthday in the year 3001. I said, okay, it's a Wednesday. I'm
That's
not
incredible.
on this planet anymore. But the 21st of July, 3001 is a Wednesday. So, okay.
Wow.
You're the only person I've ever met who's done that. Are you a Time Lord?
I think so. I hope so.
That's fantastic. Everybody's going to go and do that to their iPhone now.
Do you think the
I'm going to set a reminder for the year 3000.
We're going to steal that.
Yeah, do it.
Well, she'll steal it, definitely.
So what do you
She
think?
steals all the best
Could
lines.
be the 13th Doctor maybe a bald head? What do you think?
What do I think, what?
Could the 13th Doctor maybe be a bald head?
Oh, definitely,
Like
yes.
me?
I mean, it's a change.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good look.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thanks.
And it's very popular in the future, too.
I hope so. And it's also a change as your appearance as a doctor, because you're much more darker than the last 8, 9 doctors. So what do you think? Is the doctor, this question wasn't answered until season 8, is the doctor still a good man or not?
Yeah, I think he is a good man. I think his concerns about being a good man are really that I think when you regenerate, you probably don't know yourself. You're a whole new person inhabiting this the spirit that has been there for decades, and so I think the Doctor is compelled to always save people and try and help people, and sometimes at the cost of other people. And I think the Doctor that I play always found that quite difficult. That why he would be driven to do things for the greater good, but he would not be untouched by a conscience about those people who suffered. So I think that's what caused him this distress. But I think in the new season he's sort of realized that life is short, even if you're 2,500 years old, and you should really enjoy yourself. And he is who he is, and he has to get used to living with himself. And so he and Clara are like a little gang now, charging around time and space in search of adventure.
Good. And if you can answer please after another, so you work with so many virtual creatures. Is there maybe still a living animal that you want to do a film or a movie or an episode with?
A giraffe.
Why?
I just have a thing about giraffes. And I'd like to meet one properly.
We can fix that.
We could fix that. We could have some giraffes in Doctor Who. It could be a whole story. We could go on safari in Doctor Who.
Yeah, I'd like to go to the zoo.
Yeah, in Doctor Who.
Yeah, because I think I'd like to do a scene with gorillas or chimpanzees or orangutans. I went to the zoo the other day when we were in San Diego, which was this huge, which was absolutely lovely, lovely zoo. But the apes were very sad. They just sat there looking miserable. They were looking for a way out of the zoo, and perhaps an appearance in Doctor Who might have... The sad thing was people were doing selfies with them. People were squeezing up next to them because they have glass panels and they sit with their backs leaning against the panels, and people were getting their cameras out and putting their heads around and smiling. And I thought if the Doctor was there, he'd communicate with them, he'd speak with them and help them escape.
Did you work with animals before? Maybe for a show or a movie?
We worked... What animals have I worked with? We did work with... we did an episode where there was a tiger in Doctor Who last year, but unfortunately for us, the tiger was a tennis ball on a stick floating. So we didn't quite get the real effect because they went and filmed the tiger separately and kept us very separate for safety issues, I think. So we haven't worked with any real life creatures.
We worked with some eels.
Were they they weren't real? Were they real eels?
They weren't really eels.
And my last question, what do you prefer most? Cats or dogs, and why, if you have to choose?
Dogs, because I love how loyal they are and cute, and will follow you around everywhere and be your best friend. And I was bitten by a cat when I was little.
And so, do I prefer cats or dogs? I don't have a preference, really.
I'm a cat type of person, so I prefer cats because they're much more, I think, clever. A cat is like a woman. Every time you have to fight for that respect, every day. And a dog is every time, oh, give me some food and I'm nice to you.
Yeah. Good luck with that. As a shtick. Well, I've had a dog and I've had a number of cats. And I've had an equal affection for both. One is more, I think a dog's more labor intensive. I think it takes more looking after than a cat. A cat just pleases itself and does what it wants and comes in. I mean, when I go home, the cat just moans at me because it's not being fed. And I'm like, oh, stop it, stop it, stop it. And I'm like, meh, meh. Just wants food, and I've got to feed it, and that really irritates me. But then if a dog was there, it would be all like, oh, great to see you, great to see you. How have you been, where have you been, where have you been, where have you been? And I think that's, it is a serious question, because it'll have a life on the internet. And then you'll get trolled by people who love dogs and trolled by people who love cats. And yeah. So are you a dog? Be a trolley dolly. I'm both. It's true, because I've had both. I'm not really a pet person.
You're the doctor, so.
is the real answer.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time.